What's the difference between paramotor and paragliding? Well, let's find out in today's video. That's that powered paragliding thing. Dude, come on. Wow, and paragliding. Wow, you're that guy from the sky. So, we have paramotor versus paragliding. Paramotor, paragliding. The main difference between these two is that there's engine and there's no engine. Engine, no engine. Motor, no motor. So here's the paramotor thing. Bam. You have your harness, which is integrated, attached to this frame, right? And on this frame, you also have this engine with the prop, fuel. So here it is, paramotor, and all you need is your harness, of course the reserve and the helmet. But yeah, then on the other side you have this thing, paragliding wing, your harness, again helmet, reserve, gloves and all that stuff, obviously needed for paragliding and paramotoring. But yeah, if we're talking just about gear, you can see that this thing, paragliding, is way more simple and minimalistic compared to paramotoring. But that's not the only difference. Oh, and I almost forgot, there's something more if you're dealing with paramotors. There's fuel, oil, some tools, things that are happening behind all this cool, great footage of paramotor flying. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of obvious if you're dealing with engines and stuff. Okay, so here's the thing. These two things are almost impossible to describe because experience is so different, and also the whole purpose is just different, you know? One big thing which also makes one of the biggest differences between paramotor and paragliding is when and where you can fly. With paramotors, you can take off almost anywhere. All you need is open, big enough field, and that's it. And for paragliding, you need hill or some sort of slope, you know. You have to hike up or you can drive up and then you take off from there and fly back down to the valley. Now, depends on conditions, but with help of thermals and wind, you can stay up there in the sky for several hours. So for paragliding, you need thermals and wind to stay up in the sky. And when paramotoring, you have this thing, your engine. This is your power, and with help of this, you can stay up there for almost as long as you want. Well, of course, depends on how much fuel you have. That's how long you're gonna stay up there. So I guess this is one of the biggest difference when and where you can fly with these two things. What can happen in paragliding, and it happened to me many times, is you pack up your gear, put it in your backpack, hike up to the mountain for an hour, 2 hours, even 3 hours hike. And then, when you reach the takeoff, when you reach the summit, you realize that the wind is wrong, so you can't take off. And all you can do is hike back down. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not flying, which is the main thing about paragliding. With paramotor, you eliminate that factor of, you know, perfect conditions and takeoff. When you're on the open field, wind can be almost from any direction you want. You just take off in that direction and you're good to go. Quick little story experience with paragliding and paramotors that happened to me a few days ago. So I woke up and I saw these beautiful clouds all over the valley, and I checked the weather and it was not good for hike and fly because wind was from wrong direction on that takeoff that was close to all these clouds. So I grabbed my paramotor, went to the first field. I take off, and within half an hour, I was up there above these clouds. Amazing experience. I guess this is like this different, you know, aspect, this whole different mindset, different experience that you get. With paramotors, you can really fly almost everywhere at any time, at times when paragliding is impossible, or, fly yourself into situations that are at that time impossible to do with classic paragliding. Paramotor will get you high, almost anytime, anywhere. Now, of course, weather. Weather is super important for both of these things. Paramotors, paragliding, weather. Weather is in between here all the time. Now, of course, with paramotors, you get little more margin, but you still have to respect Mother Nature. You have to respect strong wind, gusty wind, this mixed turbulent air. You want to avoid that in both situations to stay safe. Just basic flying rules. That applies to both of these things. Now, what does it take to own these two things? Well, you gotta take care of them, So, both paramotoring and paragliding, you have these wings, parachutes, whatever you want to call them, reserves, and your harnesses. And you want to make sure that you check these things, for example, on yearly basis, depends how often you use them. But you want to make sure that there's no damage and that everything is safe to fly. And on paragliding side, that's it. That's all that you have to do. While with paramotoring, you have this engine, right? You have this engine thing, and like with any other engine, you gotta take care of it. What's the cost of these two things? Well, paragliding, for paragliding, which is on this side, you will have to spend somewhere around from $3,000 to $6,000, and for that you will get your wing, your harness, reserve, helmet, and all that you need. Now for paramotoring, which is on this side, you will have to spend somewhere from, let's say, $8,000 to $12,000, and for that you will get your harness, your frame, engine, prop, wing, all that you need. Of course, these prices may vary, depends what gear you get, if you buy used or you buy new gear, where you live, and all this stuff. But that's just to give you a little basic idea. Does that mean that I'm ditching paragliding because of paramotor or the other way around? Well, it's hard to say, but I'm gonna try some epic stuff on this channel, and we'll see from there. We'll see what happens from there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh,